Okay. I think we're going to just jump right into this, guys. This is going great. Thank you again for joining us on another episode of Always Making. I almost forgot the name of our show. I was just really, I'm like, wow, I almost said something that wasn't the name. It's been a long day. But guys, yeah, thanks for joining us on this episode. We've got awesome guests in here today. If you guys have, I even forgot the episode that we had Mason on. What, episode 34, episode 36?
I have no idea.
No, 30.
It would have been 36.
Anyways, we'll put a note
we'll let
down,
them decide what episode it was.
Yeah, we'll put a note down in the description about that episode. But Mason is the owner and creator of the Hive Utah. It's a tattoo parlor, but you guys are part of his apprentice program, and you guys were actually the chosen apprentice. He usually
the chosen ones.
Yeah, the chosen ones. And so we're kind of doing a follow-up episode because we got a chance to go see your guys' pieces in person at the show he was
Urban
here
Arts Gallery,
talking about. And we followed your guys' stuff as we learned more about you guys, and it's been a couple months now, so you guys have had some time in the shop, and we want to hear a little bit about how it all went for you guys. But before we jump into that conversation, guys, like, follow, subscribe, do all the things you're supposed to do. We've got a few announcements. We've got some shows. No, we don't have any shows lined up at the moment, but we do have some
working on it.
new product up in our Etsy shop.
Yes.
Some of our screen printed t-shirts. You can go check that out. Links down below. But that's the housekeeping we have right now.
Yep.
I do want to introduce, we have Kelz and Brooke. Brooke. Wow. We went over this at the beginning, and like,
My name is hard.
Brooke is tricky. That's a tricky one.
Oh
It's
my
one syllable.
God, it's like I haven't done this
A lot of
before,
room
guys.
to
But anyways, Brooke, I'm sorry about that. But you guys were the chosen of a group of 8 total. Is that how many were in that program?
12?
There was like 12.
Oh,
I wanna say
more
there
than
was
okay.
more.
Was it
Yeah.
12? Okay.
It was double digits.
I don't think Mason really mentioned that, like, he really does 2 like people. So you guys really guess made it a hard decision for him to pick
He
both of you
couldn't
guys.
just
Yeah,
pick one.
couldn't just pick one.
Yeah.
But let's talk a little bit about your guys' art history. How'd you guys get all started?
Yeah,
doing the
introduce
art fun
yourselves
stuff.
and let us know how you got into art.
Would you like to go first?
Sure, I'll go first. I feel like I've always done art. I don't know that my intention was ever to be an artist, but I like the oldest pictures I have of me where I'm not an actual infant. I'm drawing, I'm like coloring. I couldn't see it all, but I had the utensils in my hand, yeah, so that's how it started.
When did you actually start going into an art career? Because if I look back on some of your information you've got online, you've done some murals, you've done different painting, you do a little bit of like everything in the art world, it kind of seems like, looking back at some of your pieces. When did that decision to be like, hey, I'm going to try this professionally actually start for you?
It started in college. I started as a science major, and then I realized I couldn't do math. And I was like,
Math
the only
is
thing I
hard,
can do
yeah.
is draw. Like I can color. So I pivoted a couple different directions and found myself pursuing art as a degree. And then it kind of became like I better make it work. I can't do anything else. So yeah, that's
how
I
it all
think just
started.
like grit, like looking for things to do, like asking questions and
Figuring it out and
figuring
going
it
from
out.
there.
I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah. Kelz, when did it all start for you?
Yeah, so I've been drawing for as long as I can remember. I remember saving up like all of the money that I made like growing up. Like I was like a kid, and I went to the grocery store and bought like the biggest pack of Sharpies I could find. I was like, this has all the colors. I'm gonna do everything. And then I decided I was just gonna draw in my hands. I came from like a Mormon background, and that was not okay. And so I'd come home every day after school with like phoenixes and dragons all over my arms. I'd be like, look at my cool art. And my mom would be like, that's not okay. You can't be doing that. And I'm like, but I did. And so like ever since then, I've really like enjoyed art, but it always felt like something that I did like as a hobby, not necessarily like something I wanted to pursue. And then I went into like HR, and then I like looked in the mirror and I was like, are you happy with what you're doing? And I was like, I'm spiraling.
Existential crisis.
Exactly. And so then I was like, what would make you happy? What would make you feel content with what you're doing? And I was like, I feel like I should be pursuing art. It's something that I have like always put like on the side and never really pursued. And so I was like, we're going to do it. And so that's where I like really started partnering with the Hive, started like getting my portfolio in a better spot. And it kind of like all went from there.
Well, and we've seen you at a couple markets.
Yeah, I do a lot of silly, crazy stickers. That's for sure.
So when did you do your first market? When did that side of it start for you?
That happened. It was like September of not last year, but the year before.
Okay.
So like around that time is when I was really like kind of like dabbling into it, and it's really funny because my art like online actually stemmed from like NSFW art. I was drawing like Disney princes and like little pinups and stuff like that. And I was like, and it was like a way of, so like growing up, I was always told that you can't draw men. Like it was one of those things that's like, hey, you're not gay, you can't draw men. And I was like, now I'm like, I'm an adult, I can draw whatever I want. And so I was like, if I want to draw a pinup, I'll draw a pinup. And so like that kind of like allowed me to like break down that like boundary that I set for myself. And then from there, I'm like, just draw whatever you want. Like if you want to draw a Pikachu like caked up, draw a Pikachu caked up. It's gonna be okay.
Badonka-donk.
Exactly. So it's just all like progressed really, really like wildly, and I was like, okay, this is fun.
I do remember that you say not safe for work. I do remember we met you at a SLC Punk Rock Flea, sharing a table.
One of our previous guests,
yes,
Ericism,
with Ericisms. Yep, Rick.
Yes,
And I do
Rick.
remember you mentioning your Instagram and being like, "This is the regular Instagram, and this is the not safe for work and the NSFW Instagram." And I was like, "Follow both." Got it.
I love that, and it's like you kind of had to do that because there's like, you know, it's a street market, and so you have like 7-year-olds walking up to your booth, and then you have like people who are like actually interested. So I'm like, for the 7-year-old, you follow this one. Like, let's not look at this, okay?
This side of the table.
Yeah.
This one's for your parents. over here.
Exactly. I did have a situation where one of the kids came across and they're like, Mom, I need you to go stand over there so I can look at something. And I was like, I don't think that's a good idea. I'm not here to parent you, but like, that's not a good idea.
Don't put me in an uncomfortable position, please. Don't.
Exactly.
So, Brooke, I want to talk a little bit. Have you gotten into the market scene as well? Have you tried that, or is this kind of just a art like mural artists and other kind of pieces that you've done?
Yeah, I think I've done maybe 1 or 2 very small markets.
Okay.
Yeah, I've never done like as far as like a farmer's market or like an arts related market. I used to work for like a quilting related company, and I would go to markets with them, but never for like my own art.
So, is this newfound like apprenticeship kind of pushing you in a direction to maybe try and put your stuff out there a little bit more?
Of
Like,
course, yeah.
yeah.
Of course. I'm happy to do it.
Okay. I do want to talk about where for both of you guys both seem like you have a little bit of a history before you even got into the Hive thing. How did you hear about this first? I mean, was it just a random social media post that you came across, or like how did you guys find it? And then what gave you guys the confidence to then try something like this out?
Yeah, I'll go first on this one. So I actually met one of the artists at the time, Trent, at one of my markets, and he bought one of my Hercules like little pinup drawings, and I was like, and he like hung it up in his bathroom, and it was so surreal because I was like, my art's on somebody's wall, like that's literally on somebody's wall right now. And so it was really cool to be able to like connect to people like just socially, like just like word of mouth. And then from there, like I like saw him posting and then got connected with him. And then I had a friend who wanted a tattoo, and I was like, I know someone, I got you. So I was like, I got the hookup, let's get a Trent. And Trent actually referred us to somebody else at the Hive though, because it was like more of their specialty.
Yeah.
And from there it was just kind of like, oh, we do art classes, come join. And it kind of just like all spiraled from there, which was like really cool because I was like, who knew my very first market, I would meet somebody who's then gonna like help dictate what my career is gonna be moving forward. And so it was like one of those like just like really cool moments of like, you know, the universe putting you in the right spot at the right time for it to kind of like just like spiral. And I was like, I love this.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And then Brooke, how did you hear about it?
I'm also a product of the Trent connection.
Okay.
Shout out to Trent.
So Trent's the guy we need to get on next. Eh?
Yes, I think so.
Trent from Queerly Magical.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
We have one of his prints up on our wall right there.
Yeah. He's everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. He actually reached out to me over Instagram and was like, you should come to the Hive, like check out this, check out that, and I did, and that's just kind of how it happened.
Wow. All right. So I guess Trent,
Yeah.
we got to get you on next.
He's so great.
Yes.
Yeah, I think again we met them at the SLC Punk.
Flea.
Yeah, one of the
They were
like our
sharing a
first
table with their
ones.
partner, I think, or
Yeah.
friend. I'm not sure, but
Yeah,
yeah.
but Yes, I'm like, I'm like, I think it was the SLC Punk show that we had that first
Yeah, because that's where we got
thing-
the print.
the print from.
There you go.
But the program goes for 8 weeks. I'm completely forgetting everything
think
Mason
so.
talked about on the episode,
it
but
was around
it's
there.
8 weeks.
Mhm.
And you guys had to do, for this year's challenge, was the Russian stacking dolls. How did you guys take your guys' style and implement that into that challenge?
Brooke, you want to start this one?
I can start this one. I feel like when I first saw the Russian nesting dolls, I was like, I like that there are multiples. And my mind kind of went to like family or like chosen family or like home. I don't know. I feel like my work lots of times centers around like the idea of finding somewhere to belong, and the Russian nesting dolls like belong inside of each other. So I sketched out a bunch of different ideas. Some of them were crazy, some of them were ridiculous, but I settled on just using the smallest one as like the main character, and then creating landscapes with the others that it could, kind of sit inside of and travel through. That's
Kind of took that approach
yeah,
with it.
that
Yeah.
was my approach.
Do you feel you represented your art like through that piece really well, or was it something that kind of like felt a little different as because it's a different medium that you're used to?
I feel like what I ended up doing, it felt very centered in the type of art that I do. It was different in that it was 3-dimensional and I had to carve into it. There was growth that needed to happen there. It was painful. But it feels representative of a lot of the work that I do.
Awesome.
Very cool.
And Kelz,
Yeah, so I saw the Russian nesting doll and I was like, this is not my alley. I do not do this. I do stickers. That is my jam, and I will stick to it. And so I was like, what if I just put stickers on it? I was like, no, that's a cop out. Like, we got to figure something out. And so I struggled with it for a very long time. I was like, I don't know what my concept's going to be. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. And then I ended up doing a love letter to my partner. And I did it in things that he appreciated, but also made it into things that I also thought was like really fun to draw. So I did like a little mermaid pinup as part of it. And so like the story was like progressing through like a relationship of like the turmoil, and I had like a shipwreck in it, and like, having to go through those hard conversations and then like coming out of it. And then there's like the beauty in like the relationship, which was like the mermaid, and then the coral, which was like home. And so it was just all these different stories with like a relationship, and I like ended up on something that like I didn't think I would do, but I like was able to incorporate like the things that I do like in their like pinups and stuff like that.
yeah,
Very cool.
all of the artists that were part of that program put out such amazing
Yes.
pieces
Yes.
with that whole thing. And I love Mason's approach of challenging you guys in a way that is not your comfort zone. And I think that's really cool. I really am excited to see the marionettes that he's got planned for the next one, and that he kind of gave us a little preview when he was on the show. But what I think the program is really great for building is that confidence, and I think he explained that very well on his episode that he was on with us. But as you guys went through the weeks of development with learning and kind of growing, did you feel your art like kind of change a little bit, or did you just feel a bit more confident in what you guys were putting out for your art?
Yeah, what was that journey like for you guys?
Yeah.
I'll take this one first because you do the last
Yeah.
one, I guess. We'll just bounce back
Thank
and forth. I got you.
Yeah, think about
You
this.
plan a little bit. I'll take this one. Take it for the team. I struggled a little bit with it, to be honest. Like, just fully transparent. It was very out of my comfort zone. I went on a deep dive of YouTube. I reached to all of my friends who use acrylic. I was like, I don't know how to use acrylic paint. What do I do? And so like I was like starting from the basics when it came to acrylic. And like by the end of it, I was like, okay, what do I know? Color pencil. I know how to use color pencil. How can I blend the two together? How do they interact with each other? So it was a lot of like trial and error, and then I'd be like, oh, that didn't work, we gotta start over. Like, that is not okay. Reprime, restart over, we're good to go. But it was such a cool opportunity to connect with so many different artists, because I was like, for example, we mentioned Rick earlier. I was like, Rick, you use acrylics, what do I do? How do I use this? Like, what do I need to know? And they were so helpful to be able just to like walk me through some of the basics. And then we would do like, every time in class I'd be like, does anybody know how to use this? And they're like, I got you. And so it was like such an awesome opportunity to connect with so many different artists and like learn a new skill while also like being able to bring like what I know to the table as well. So I feel like it was a challenge, but it was like a fun one, you know?
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say there was definitely in a way, there was like a safety net of all of us helping each other and
sure.
working together. I don't think there was anyone that was like withholding information. Like,
Yeah.
I know how to do this secret skill and I'm not telling anybody how to do it. So
That's good.
it was like a safe space to explore.
It was a finding your community.
Yeah.
Like that's really the
Yeah.
thing, and we love that about why when Mason reached out to us, it was like there's a communal aspect of what is happening here, and seeing all the artists and all the talent that was there, you could see that what you're explaining, and with the people, they were all supportive of each other. That was the fun thing about that night at the art gallery, is you could see everyone didn't know what the outcome was going to be, but everyone was there for each other to lift everybody up and make really cool art pieces and everything.
Yeah, it was fun to see literally each person kind of like championing the rest of the group and just being, very supportive. Yeah.
And I think the really cool thing is like it didn't die from there. You know what I mean? Like I'm still so connected with so many people from that group. Like chat with them all the time. We see each other like at the Hive every now and then. Like it's just been like such a cool opportunity to like meet these people that I would have never met normally, because a lot of us like had corporate jobs prior. And so it's like, how do you get that interaction with each other without putting yourself out there? And so it was really cool to like be able to run with that even after. So like sharing each other's posts now and like doing drawing challenges with each other. Like it's just been really cool to have like a community from something that like started something even bigger, you know?
Very cool.
Tattoos. Did you guys think that's where you guys were going to be going? Like,
I mean, Kelz, I know you said you were drawing on your arms when you were younger, so
But,
tattoos in your like mindset at all.
I think it was a little bit like programmed in me in the sense of like I want to be doing this, but it was kind of like one of those things. It's like, hey, you should be like pursuing something else. And so I went into HR, and I was like, this is very different from HR. Like, these are two different things.
Two different worlds.
Exactly. So I think there was a thought that like I really wanted to do that. I just didn't know how to make it happen. And I think it was really, I'm just so thankful for Mason to be able to like give me the time and the space to be able to like through his classes give me like portfolio, how to like build your portfolio, and then B, give me the opportunity to be able to like try to do this thing that obviously me as a little kid coming home with like my 7 million tattoos that I did, and then my friends' parents calling my parents being like, your son grew on my kid's arm. I'm like, sorry, like that's what it is. So I think there's a part of me that like really wanted this, and I just kind of put it back for a little bit, and now it's finally like pursuing it, which I'm really excited about.
Yay.
Going back on Brooke, some of your Instagram posts from like, I think it was 2018, I saw some stuff. I'd like to dive deep into some of the stuff and everything, but
Derek does the research.
Yeah. there is a few pieces that you've done in the past that looked very tattoo style, very tattoo like. But was that on your mindset? Because what it seems like you've done a lot of mural work and a lot of bigger pieces. So like,
yeah, I do love big pieces.
So going to like a small like piece on like, was that a thought process that you had like going into this, that you might become a tattoo artist?
Yeah, it's crossed my mind. I've had friends that are tattoo artists in the past, or like friend adjacent. So it wasn't like completely out of left field. I've had friends be like, oh, design a tattoo for me, and I'm always like, go ask the artist to do that. But I guess if you want to pay me some money to do it and then they can redraw it for you, like, okay, like fine, say less. So
but it was kind of that thought process. Have you guys had any experience like using the tattoo tools like to do art, or is that like once you started the apprenticeship, that's kind of your first go at like tattooing?
That was the latter. Like once we got the apprenticeship, that's when we're like, okay, now we can use these things. And it has been a journey. I was like, I can draw circles. We got this. I went to draw a circle with a machine, and I was like in tears. I was like, when did I forget how to draw a circle? Like it is just night and day different from just like learning just a whole new skill. And so I think that's like so crazy about it. Yeah. I
used a tattoo machine one time for like 5 seconds to make a tiny spiral on a pumpkin. One of my friends was a tattoo apprentice, and she was like, just try it. And I was like, this is hard. And so it actually like, scared me a little bit. Yeah. I was like, oh no, I'm gonna have to
taking a sharp item and like poking people with it.
Yeah, well, it like moves,
Yeah.
you know, it's like kind of heavy. It's different than a pencil or a pen.
Yeah, I've looked into some of the cheap like versions on Amazon and like conversions where you put a pen on it and like actually just kind of do stippling work and stuff. And I'm like, do I want to try this? Nah, I don't. I think it's a little too like out of my league and everything. I'll stick to my like iPad and I'll be able to zoom in and get my detail. But how many tattoos have you guys done now that you're doing the apprentice program?
0.
Is it, so let me ask, is there like still like development till you start actually doing something on an actual person? Is that still what's going on?
Yeah, so I think we've been told that we're really close to be able to start tattooing on human skin. We've just been using a lot of fake skin currently, and there's just a lot of skills that you need to learn prior. So a lot of circles, a lot of lines, a lot of like just different kind of techniques that you need to be able to know so that you're doing things like the safe way when you're like tattooing human skin.
Yeah.
And so we've put a lot of work to kind of learn those fundamentals, and now we're like really close to like make it to like actual on skin. So we're so close.
Is that I'm nervous.
I'm like
You're nervous. I'm nervous.
But is that like, how is that? I guess you have a really good teacher that's like developing you guys through, and so the confidence is getting there with that. But that first person, what is the thoughts going into that first like kind of actual appointment that you might have sometime in the near future?
My mentality is it's going to be the best tattoo I've ever done because it's the only tattoo that I've ever done.
It can only go up
It
from
only
here.
goes up from there. You know what I mean? No, I'm so nervous to like kind of put it into action for sure. Like I think we're doing something way out of our comfort zone in the sense of like we are fully stabbing somebody and they're paying us to stab them with ink.
They want it though. They
want
so I
it.
don't feel bad.
They
And it's
crave
gonna
the
be
ink.
permanent.
They're asking for
There's
it.
no like practice ink.
Exactly. So there's definitely the nerves there, but I think it's that excitement of like we've put in the work in the 8 weeks to get into the apprenticeship. Now we've put in the time from November to now to kind of learn all of the skills necessary. And so I'm kind of like, I want to do it. Like let's make it happen, you know? So
Yeah,
it's just like an excitement.
And also just to add to that, like Mason will be there with us
Yeah.
supervising. It's not like he's gonna be like, wow, they're really screwing this one up. Like it will be like, you know, this is how we fix it. Like he's there to help.
Yeah.
So
He's
It's
not
like
gonna.
training wheels are off.
Yeah.
Bye.
he's just like,
Yeah.
remember when he did that?
Let's see how bad this goes.
Exactly.
And the other artists in the shop are fantastic too. So just having them there as resources to, you know, support and encourage.
Yeah, seeing all the different posts that come up on the Instagram for the Hive is awesome to see all the variety, and I think that's really cool how Mason brings such a variety of people in to the shop so that you see so many different styles, and I think that's very cool to see that it's not just one direct way. And he talked about it on the show, like he's not one that's like this is the only way to do tattoos kind of thing. I think it's one of those like cool pieces of art that like everybody kind of has their own vibe and can kind of like feel comfortable in that space. I want to go back to that night where you found out you guys are given the opportunity to be the apprentice at the shop. Did you guys have any inkling that was coming for you guys? Did you guys like feel confident, or did you think, man, like there's other people who had some pretty good stuff, and you just how'd that feel that first night?
I mean, I didn't see it coming because you guys were there. You saw the work people put out.
Yeah.
And just the time
We
spent.
also
in
saw
the
your
craft.
work, so don't cut
Well, I'm
yourself
just saying,
short on
like,
that.
like everyone did so good.
Yeah,
And I was
there
like,
was a
yes,
lot of talent in that
it
room.
could be anybody in
Yeah.
here, and like they deserve it. You know.
Yeah.
Like we've all worked hard, so I was shocked.
I was shocked as well. So I was picked second. And
I wasn't good enough to be the only one. So.
Oh no.
No,
There's the
he just knew
rivalry.
that we were going to work really well together.
I'm so
He was
glad
like,
I'm not alone.
The yin to the yang, we need two of them together or they're going to spiral alone. Like, they need to be together. Well, I was chosen second, and like, while I was so excited for you, like, don't get me wrong, girl. I was like, yeah, she deserved it. I knew she was going to get it. I had a really strong feeling because Brooke showed up. She showed up every single class. She had such good like information. She had such good like work ethic. She has a skill set that I think a lot of us don't have with like marketing and social media. And I was like, when I grow up, I want to be Brooke. And so like I knew that
Same.
Brooke was gonna get in there somehow. And so when I heard it, I was like, it happened, and I was like, almost, I was excited for you, but also devastated because I was
Yeah.
like, what do I do now? Like I look at my friends and they're like, what do we do? And I was like, we act excited. I think like that's what we gotta do.
You act.
We act.
Perform.
I mean,
Perform.
I can see
And
that
scene.
being like a struggle where you like you've put a lot of your like self into like hoping that this could be the next big career change for yourself, and to be the second choice, not knowing that there was going to be a second choice.
Yeah.
Like that is a tough one.
Yeah.
That you've got to kind of like, oh hey, yeah, we all went through this. I've got to now look for something else. So we had to leave early. We had to put Juniper down for the evening sleep and everything. Not the evening nap, but
Bedtime.
That's I guess that's a
Evening
prop.
sleep.
That's a
Evening
proper
sleep.
term for that.
The
Yeah.
evening
Yeah,
sleep.
yeah, I was being but we weren't there for the announcement. We just saw that you guys both got picked on social media. How did that next announcement say he's going to take a second person? Where did how did that happen?
I'm sure Brooke was like, shit,
I
I gotta
was-
work with Kelz. Damn.
I was blacked out. I was just like,
It was just
my whole
stars.
life going before my eyes. Like,
Yeah, I was just like going through all the emotions because I was like, oh, I didn't get it. Like, that's cool. And I was like, we went through a lot. Like, there was a lot that
On a
happened through
roller
here.
coaster.
Yeah. And then like, he was like, wait, but we're going to choose another person. I was like,
What?
another one? And so I was just in full shock. Like, once I got it, I was like, I didn't hear anything that he said. I don't think. Like, he was just like talking. And I was just like, uh-huh.
You have that like
Uh-huh.
out like
Uh-huh.
movie moment where everything goes silent and like you're just like focused on that like
Yep.
but, like you're like I don't know what's happening and it's
Everything
that
goes
inner
dark,
monologue, yeah.
tunnel
Yeah.
vision, and
Yep.
I'm like, yeah, whatever you say, we'll talk about it later. But I don't know anything that's coming out of your mouth right now. I don't even think I know English anymore. Like, I don't know what's happening.
yeah.
Kind of that out of body experience, kind of just being there in that moment, and kind of like, do you remember anything after that announcement, like for the night? Like, is it just kind of like all a blur at this point?
So I was really lucky, and I was able to go out to dinner with everyone who came and like supported. And so it was really cool to have like a moment with my friends, my family. That was actually the first time my dad has ever come to support anything, but that was on me, not on him. So he's a great dad. However, I did not want my dad seeing my pinups that I was drawing. I was like, there's just some boundaries that maybe we should keep.
Understandable.
And then my dad came and he was like, I'd probably draw this stuff too. And I was like, guess the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree, does it? So it was really cool to have that moment of like, my family was there, my friends were there, and it was just like, just really cool just to be like celebrated. And I just thought like, I was like, this is amazing. So I gotta remember some of it because of being able to spend time with them.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Brooke.
Oh man, I don't know how to answer that exactly, but
She's like, I did something, but it was illegal, so I can't tell anybody.
Can't incriminate myself.
I went straight home and went to bed.
I did.
Evening nap.
Yeah.
I did my evening nap.
I feel like I was able to connect with everybody from the class afterwards, and I met a lot of really awesome people and chatted with people. But then I did go to bed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
It was
mean,
probably
I was
exhausting.
so tired.
yeah, I can get that. I can understand that 100%. With that night, like going into it, prepping all your guys' pieces, not only just the Russian nesting dolls, but you also had gallery pieces that you were putting up. What was some of that lead up to that night that you guys had to do preparation for and kind of get ready for that whole, because the stuff stayed up for a whole month, right? And there was a whole month that it was there, so you guys had pieces that like had to present itself. And so how'd that lead up for you, that go for you guys?
It went well. I had 2 paintings that I did pull an all-nighter to get them done. But it wasn't like the week before. It was like 2 weeks before.
Yeah. Just you had that time,
Yeah.
that all night
Yeah.
that you could
Yeah,
kind
I
of
was
get
really
at it.
tired at work the next day. But I was like, sometimes you start a project and you're like, I'm doing this, I'm finishing this. So yeah, I feel like I took a long time to conceptualize my pieces, but I feel like I executed them fairly quickly and timely, which was good. I don't need to stress myself like that.
So I took a few of the classes leading up to it. So Mason has a few classes, and I actually developed a lot of my pieces during those classes. So it was really cool to be able to be like, I worked on this in February, and then I worked on this in March, and it almost felt like a progression of like my
That's really
art
cool.
throughout like that year. And so like being at the end of the year was really cool to see like, oh, like that's all that I did. Like it was really cool. Played with some like neon stuff, played with some like portrait stuff, just like seeing where like I was gonna land. And like it was just really cool to see. It felt like a hodgepodge. Like I was like, I wish I had like a cute aesthetic. Like Brooke's all matched really, really well. And I was like, I wish I had a cute aesthetic like that. And then mine's over here like chaos. I'm like, oh, there's a booty, there's some neon work, there's a portrait. Like who knows what's gonna happen right there. And so it was just really fun just to kind of see that like all in one spot and just being like, whoa, like this is where I started and this is where like I ended up like doing something 3D that I thought I would never do. I was like, 3D? Not for me.
Well, it came out incredible.
Oh,
So,
thank
both
you.
of you.
I want to take a step even further back now. Like we've talked about the class and how you guys got to where you guys are now, but inspiration for what you guys do, where do you guys find your inspiration for it? I know it's not just pinup dudes with butts and everything like that for you, but like you
That
find
inspires me.
fair. I mean, but where did the inspiration for your pieces like come from, and where do you find inspiration to continue doing what you do?
You want to take that?
Yeah, I can go first. Yeah. A lot of my pieces come from like my experience just throughout life. I have one of my favorite pieces that I've ever done, and it is like a face of a Rubik's Cube. So it's like a face with a bunch of different eyes, like in the shape of kind of like a Rubik's Cube. And that one was something that I created when I wasn't out of the closet yet. And it was one of those like you have to mask and put on different faces for different people. And so I like to be able to just like tell my shared experience and like try to share it with the world in a way that like maybe other people could relate to. And then a big part of that too kind of happens in everything that I do. So like I started doing pinups because I was told I couldn't do that stuff. And so I was like, I'm gonna do it. And maybe somebody else is gonna do it after. Like it's not like inspiration. I'm like, I've lived through this, I felt this, and I'm sure somebody else is gonna live through this and feel it as well. And so if I'm inspiring somebody else to create a piece that is like something maybe even more emotional than, or even just more sexual, like it's just one of those things that I'm just like, I hope that it touches somebody in a different way, that like we can relate in that way.
Yeah, to inspire other people.
Yeah.
Very cool.
You have a different style,
Same.
Brooke. So but it is a very fun style that you have as well. But where does the inspiration for your pieces come from?
The inspiration for my pieces come from this is gonna sound like the same as the beginning of his, but just going through life, just the different
How
journeys.
original.
I know.
All right, next question. You can go first, and then you can copy yours.
Thanks. I don't know why I passed this off to you first.
I'll just say ditto. I won't even answer.
I think to me it's an important part of the journey is like the ending, whether that ending is always moving, like it doesn't mean like a finish, but like am I journeying towards home? Am I leaving home going like what am I looking for? What am I searching for? So it's kind of like that concept of like where do I belong, and the journey that you take to go that way, the people you meet, the mentors you find, the community you build, the communities you pass through, because you do, like, you know, friends come and friends go. Like, that's the reality of life. And that's what I'm thinking about when I create my pieces most of the time. Just how does this, you know, who is this character? What are they thinking? What are they doing? Where are they going? What will they be? I feel like I'm a different person every 2 years. Like, I'm like, who was I 2 years ago? Like, and that's kind of where mine comes from.
Looking at both of your guys' social media and kind of going through, you can see that progression of like where you guys kind of started from and where you guys are at now, and how that like little details start to like get added in, and a little bit more like kind of nuances to the pieces. But you can also see that original like feel of who you guys are and who that like what makes you guys your style of art in the first piece to the very like most recent piece that you guys have posted. But it is always fun to talk to other artists and see how they get that inspiration, where that comes from, and see that development as they kind of grow through it. do you feel that your tattoo style, when you get to that point of actually doing stuff, will be very much on your same kind of level of what you guys are doing? Or do you think the tattooing will kind of have a little bit of a change because of the medium that it is, will change a little bit with how that goes?
I'll go first. So I've struggled a little bit with this just because I want to be completely transparent with the process. I've struggled with simplifying some of my designs.
Yeah.
So I'm very much somebody that loves like the little details. I'm like, I'm gonna put a little kiss on the cheek, and like if you see it, you see it. But like some of those things you kind of have to omit to make sure that you have a strong tattoo fundamentally. And so I've struggled a little bit with being like, how do I simplify my design while being proud of it, while still giving something that like I would be like, Brooke, show this off. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of
also
hard.
represents you as well,
Yeah.
kind of thing, and makes it your piece as well.
And I also think it's part of that, like it's a new medium, so you have to take some time to like pause, learn, start from the fundamentals, and kind of like build your way back up. Because I remember when I first started digital, I was like, first I had the ego of I had an ego that I did not deserve to have. I was like, oh, wow, look at this piece, it looks exactly like the original art. It was like, I'm pretty sure one of my first one was like Zelda from Legend of Zelda, and I was like, wow, I really did that. Like I did that. And then I like look back at it now and I was like, oh, I did that, like in embarrassment. I was like, I can't believe that was like my like proud moment. And I feel like that's all a part of like growing and developing in like a different like art medium. And so I feel like I'm just kind of like, take the time, learn how you can make like a fundamentally smart, strong tattoo, even if that means like trying things that are outside of my comfort zone. So like a big thing right now is floral work. Like that's way out of my comfort zone. I don't do a lot of flowers, but like I want to learn it. And so how am I able to simplify those designs and have like a strong like fundamental with it? So that's kind of where I'm at with it all.
Very cool. It sounds like you have a good beginner's mindset.
Yeah. We're learning
Exactly.
and growing. But in 2 years we're different people, right?
Yes. And 2 years are amazing. We're amazing now.
How about you, Brooke? You think it's going to change your style at all?
I have a love for drawing. I used to do a lot of like pen and ink work, and so it's fun to switch back into that of like just finding the love of those lines again. So from that aspect, like I love working traditionally. I love working on paper. I love process. But it's a totally different ball game to be working on the curves of a body, you know?
Yeah.
So taking that into consideration, and I am so thankful that I'm not just YouTubing all of this, and that Mason is there to help me, because just the simple guidance of like, hey, like it should be more up and down instead of more sideways, like because the body's up and down, things like that. It's, you know, it's so much to learn and remember, but it's so fun because I know that we will learn those things, and we are learning them, and they make sense, and it's great.
So mediums of your like favorite is ink and paper like your favorite medium to mess around with, like, and that's kind of where your go-to is, or have you found a new medium that kind of like takes that approach or takes that like attention, I think, a little bit more at this point besides the tattooing? We're talking just art in general kind of thing.
I love a good pen.
Yeah.
Do
you have an actual name brand pen that like is your
a favorite?
Yeah.
Oh, I
Only
have
if they're gonna
list.
sponsor us. Not for
I have
free.
a list of pens that I love.
Yeah.
I don't know how to pronounce their names. So
Well, if you guys want to get sponsorship, you guys should figure out how to pronounce their name. But it is one of
Learn how to
those
pronounce the
situations. I watch a lot of Business Insider on YouTube with specialty art pieces and like the tools that are made. I watched a thing about the colored pencils, like the actual like high-end colored pencils, and I'm like, oh my god, I really want to spend like $200 on like a pack of 8 colored pencils. But then I'm like, why am I going to spend $200 on a pack of 8 colored pencils? But like, I get it. Like there is those kind of feelings and those kind of things that like happen when you get the right tool in your hand, and it can really change that for you. So, I mean, for people listening, I mean, go stalk her Instagram. Maybe she'll take a picture of them sometime, post it, and maybe you can get an idea of what pens Brooke uses. But Kelz, is there a medium?
reach out for recommendations. I have many.
Pen talk with Brooke.
I know my pens. I can't pronounce them, but I can send you a link.
But I can send you a picture.
draw one for you.
You do a lot of sticker work, Kelz, but is there a medium that you prefer to work in?
Yeah, and
for
I
your
will say
part-
this to the camera because Mason gives me shit about it every time. I'm an iPad baby through and through, and it won't change. I'll lay on that bed. Yeah. So I've learned digital, and I've fallen in love with it. So prior to digital, I did a lot of graphite, and I loved it for like the values and stuff. But then once I got the iPad, I was like, whoa, all the colors right here. Like, I don't gotta spend $100 for a 12-pack of Prisma colors. Sponsor us, Prisma, but like we would.
No, I'm
kidding.
talking Prisma's shit compared to these.
Prisma's
Like,
shit.
there's some.
Yeah,
like,
Prisma, your shit.
Yeah.
there's some
remember.
color
Yeah.
pen, like Prisma is like every like art at school, like college
Yeah,
school
basic,
grade. But
basic level.
there's some like colored pencils, and I'm forgetting the name. Not that I can't pronounce it, I just forgot it.
Sure.
But there are some like
Forgot.
oil. What's the clay oils
The
we were
oil
looking at?
pastels. We
The
watched
oil
that
pastels,
video of these
yeah.
ones made like in France, and they were like handmade these oil
Handmade.
pastels. They were
And like
amazing
to get the
looking.
pigments right, to get everything
Mm-hmm.
right, like, and they pulled out these beautiful drawers. Oh, the drawers are gorgeous. Of just
Wall.
oh,
Organization. The
drawers.
organization of
just
it.
the
But it was
colors.
like
Hi, welcome
the
to
little-
organization
the little
TikTok, like where we
color
talk about
swatch
organization.
of like each drawer, and then they'd open the drawer and it was just like color gradient
Yeah.
of each color, and like, oh, it was
Yeah.
so beautiful.
I was like, the art supplies. Oh, I'll be
Yeah,
broke
like,
forever
let's
because of these
touch
art
them.
supplies. Yeah.
Exactly.
We don't want to be sponsored by the color pencils. We want to be sponsored by the organization.
Yeah.
of it,
Prisma
okay, so
colors.
this
We don't want your
organization
money.
stuff.
But it wasn't even. It was like this like 200+ year old like oil pastel, like handmade oil pastel company in France. So like these drawers had been like handmade hundreds
Wow.
of years ago, probably. I mean, like it was just
Wow.
like it was insane.
I watched because I was watching one with the colored pencils, and like it was a different tool, but it was like how they blended together and how they would overlap each other. And like they're like, here, if you take the basic like Prisma or Crayola or stuff, and you can see, and I'm like, oh my god, this is what's been wrong my whole time. My art.
Yeah.
If I spend this money on these colored
Yeah.
pencils, my art will be amazing.
It's not my skills, it's the pencils.
It's a pencil.
It's always the tools.
But I interrupted you on your
No, I
medium,
love that
but-
tangent. That was even better because Mason will watch it and be like, "Did you call me out?" And I'm like,
I don't.
"We
I
were
don't
talking
remember.
about
We're
organization.
colored
I don't.
pencils,
I have
pastels.
no idea. I have no idea what you're talking about." But yeah, so I love digital. I think there's so much you can do with it. I love creating stickers. That's where like my like bread and butter is. I just love creating a silly little sticker that people can walk up to my booth and be like, and I'm like, and then we like move on from there. And so
And then
Digital's
we see it
best
on
way.
our water bottles every day. and it makes us laugh,
Exactly.
and it's- yeah.
yeah,
smile.
the joy that keeps on giving.
Yep.
Digital. See, traditional could never, Mason.
I mean,
I'm kidding. I'm so
But
kidding.
no, okay.
It's not me
Derek-
causing beef for no reason.
No,
I'm
Derek's an
going to.
iPad, too.
I am an iPad person.
Amongst
But
friends.
what's funny is like I remember like elementary school
Brooke, you're out
and
of the
junior
club.
high. I would spend my lunch money copying how to draw books
Mhm.
and sitting in my room. I think I still have a binder of them like printed out somewhere, like from like maybe it's still at my parents' house, but I would sit there and like dinosaurs and stuff like that. And then I kind of just forgot that I was drawing. And I did my like education through college was interactive media design, which dealt with Photoshop, with Illustrator, video stuff, all kinds of different things. And I like never thought I could draw. I just was like, I'm this digital thing. So then when I got the iPad and Procreate with the pencil, I'm like, I use the Wacom tablets, or other people call it different names, but though I could never get that feel right. It never felt right. So when I got the iPad, I'm like, oh my god, this is cheating. Like it has changed the way I can actually do stuff. But like I love taking the iPad, the Adobe Illustrator, Photoshop, and going through that whole motion of creating. And I scribble in a sketchbook, and I go, man, I can't draw for shit. I'm like, what is wrong with this? But I do understand it. There is this kind of like simpler idea behind it that allows you to feel more confident in like pushing boundaries. And I feel like in the 4 years I've had the iPad doing it, I've gone leaps and bounds of like, even if I was just doing paper pen every day. And it is also kind of a convenient situation where it's like, it's in my backpack. I'm somewhere, I pull it out and I'm like,
There's no
Look at that.
mess.
It's and it's like it's one
You
tool
could do it on your
that's right
couch.
there.
You could do
Yeah,
it anywhere.
I love doing it on the plane.
That's what I'm like.
Yeah. I draw all the
Yeah.
time on the plane. That is like what I would sit there. I'd like maybe pass out for 30 minutes and then I'd wake up and I'm like, oh, I guess pull the iPad out and I'd have a piece. And what's so crazy is I'm thinking this plane is shaking like crazy and like you're hitting and I'm just kind of drawing and feeling comfortable with it. And then I kind of like with a couple of the travels, I'm like, man, I got a cool new piece that I'm gonna like do something with. But I love like that I can take this digital world that I live in and I can screen print it. I can change the medium of it and play around in all kinds of different worlds. And that's, I think, where I my strength is. I don't think anyone has to be perfect on pen and paper. I think people who are good at pen and paper are fucking talented. Like that is like, cause I'm like,
Brooke.
I look at those artists and I go, man, these are artists kind of thing. These are talented people. And I have that imposter syndrome with what I do, but then I'm like, I get it. I know I can do these things too. I just do it in a different way. And I don't think there's a wrong or right or wrong way of how you approach it. I think it's just allowing that creativity to like be released and grow is like the most important part of like finding who you are as an artist kind of thing. The mediums of tattooing, I could never stab somebody with the thing. That terrifies the shit out of me and everything. So like kudos for you guys for like stepping out of like what you guys are comfortable and throwing yourselves into a whole new medium and learning that whole thing. It sounds like you guys are having so much fun with it.
Yeah, and I
I'm
also want to
jealous.
touch on that like tangent that you just had really quickly. I will say, I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think if you did paper and pencil and pen, it is a nicer transition to get into tattooing. So like, don't put all of your eggs in one basket with digital, because that's kind of what I've done.
Yeah.
But it's because I enjoy it. I really do thoroughly love it. But the transition between the iPad and actual pencil and like filling the different tools and learning how to do the different values, I think the paper and pencil kind of steps up a little bit. Don't tell Mason I said that. However, I do. Secret safe.
She's gonna time like clock this at, hey Mason, check out this
podcast at this time.
Timestamp.
Yeah, there you go.
It'll just be sent through anonymously. It's not even through Brooke. But I do think that there's a certain skill and a certain level that really like just translates over really well to tattooing if you do paper and pencil.
I mean, I think really the biggest thing is there's no Control Z.
There's no zoom in.
Yeah, there's no
like
zoom in.
I can't pinch in tighter and get that
Can't
real good
switch
curve
it.
on my pen. And there is no that like flow pen that you can adjust how easy that curve flows for you and everything.
That's when I know I've done too much digitals when I'm drawing and I go like,
Yeah.
you know, or I'm just like
Doing the finger pinch.
aggressively double tap.
What were you? I think you've done it a couple
have
times
done
where
it.
you've like drawn something or written something and then you like zoom in or you like pinch or you
Or
try
I
to scroll and you're
try
like,
like
I'm like, that's not how this works. That's not how
Wait.
that works at all.
I've totally done that before. Can you imagine a person though trying to get them to like, because I'll like move art around all the time and just trying to be like, hey, can you like just twist your whole body this way so I can get this angle of face? I can just twist that way. Thanks.
Yeah. We were looking at mock-ups today at work and one of my fellow employees, he was on a phone looking at the mock-up and he, for whatever reason, flipped the phone over to see the back of the t-shirt and I'm like, that's not how it works. Like, what are you doing? He's like, I was like, oh yeah, I'm on the phone, and it looks like we have the t-shirt right in front of you.
Oh my
But
gosh, it's like Juniper sometimes when we like call one of our parents on FaceTime, we'll try and like look at the back of the iPad and be like, where are they?
Yeah.
Like, where are they
I
coming
love
from?
when kids do that.
So cute.
cute.
Like, I'm talking to grandma, where is she? Who's back here?
So confused.
I want to give you guys a little bit of opportunity to tell people out there, like, how you guys can how they can take the next step in finding what you guys were able to find and growing and building portfolios or stuff like that, because not everyone is fortunate enough to have a program like what Mason has put together in their local area, but there are other resources and there are things that like you guys took a leap and it's scary and there's a lot of confidence that like gets built through that process. But if you have a piece of advice for people looking to do something, maybe not tattoo, but just continue in their art like journey, do you have something that can maybe help them lead that direction?
Yeah. I actually first discovered digital art by reaching out to a digital artist. And I think that it doesn't hurt to just reach out to your heroes. You know, if you see someone, you like their work, and you're like, how did you do that? How can I do that? I mean, be respectful of their time, but it doesn't hurt to just reach out.
Mason said that same thing, and I think it is a huge like tip tool. Like feel confident to just reach out. Yeah.
I mean, the worst thing that's gonna happen is they don't respond.
They
or
ghost you.
They just say like, never speak to me again. Like, do not
Got
speak
it.
to me. It's like, okay. But I've gotten lots of good responses from people that I looked up to.
Yeah.
And I didn't even know digital art was a thing until like my freshman year of college, when I reached out and I was like, what medium are you using to get this? Like, I cannot figure this out. And they were like, it's a wake up tablet. Or something. Like, and that's how I like saved up forever to get one.
Yeah.
And
I had the capability at my college. They would rent them out for you. Like you could go check them out and I got every single version that they had available, trying them out. And I'm like, these things suck. I hate them. I hate them so
they're
bad.
so hard.
They-
The
they-
learning curve is steep.
It is, and it just was. I could never get the feel for it, and I just turned away.
Yeah.
And honestly, like a lot of my earlier pieces was mouse and like the keyboard, and just running through and like anchor points and things like that, and learning all the tools that way to create. And it just was like, man, I'm faster this way. And then like going back into that conversation, the Procreate came into play, and I'm like, holy shit. And then knowing all the stuff I know from Photoshop and Illustrator, I could then take those pieces from Procreate and make pieces that can work on so many different like product and apparels and different things like that. But yeah, Kelz, your journey, if you had a tip, if you had some advice.
So mine's gonna sound like I'm copying Brooke because I have to return the favor. Mine is networking, which is very similar to what you said. Obviously at the First podcast we talked about both meeting Trent and then kind of getting our in that way, because that was just a connection that I made at a market. Like y'all are a connection that I made at a market. And like I think that's the biggest thing that you can do is start networking with people who are like-minded, who kind of have that same like drive and ambition, because then you start like seeing like, what are you doing, what are you working on, what markets are you applying for, and then you kind of get the like in that you wouldn't get without that, you know what I mean? And I think that goes for all of art, like into the tattooing world. That happened to us. Like I think in anything you're trying to get a part of, like you start networking with the right people. Even if it's like, for example, tattooing, you start networking with the artists that like go get a tattoo. Like that's networking. You know what I mean? Like being able to just like actually see it in person, be able to get the vibe of the studio and be able to like talk to that artist while, you know, paying them, but also like networking with them at the same time. Like I think networking is just something that's just, you never know where it's going to take you.
I am guilty of this, where I sat in my room by myself doing my own thing, and till I worked with an art team and realized that like you are so much stronger in numbers than you are as an individual, and you get so much better feedback and you grow so much faster. It was one of those like, I'm just gonna do everything myself. I'm like, oh my god, I can outsource this to have this person help me, and I can have this person. It's so much like geez, where like, but it was like the weird thing that happened in college, and I think I've talked about it on here, is like it became a competition, and you were the individual and you had to get this, and you were trying to work better than this person here. And what really was like the thing, the eye opener is like, no, those are your peers that can help you build this thing. And like it is so true, the networking aspect. I've said it on here already, like the reason we do the show is because there are cool people we meet at shows, and I'm just gonna steal their ideas and be like, hey, they went and tried this when they put up their stuff at a booth, or hey, they like this is the website they went to for this information. I'm like, great, you guys are just feeding me and teaching me and everything. I'm guilty of it. I'm like, you guys just come down to my basement and have a conversation. I archive all of this stuff,
storing it all away.
That's what, every time I'm at a market, I'm always like writing down, oh, they did that really smart, like I'm gonna steal that. And like it's just that like networking and learning from like your peers and other other like creatives. Like, I think that's really cool.
I forgot who it was. We were at a show and they had rubber bands just running across their.
I think that was me.
Was that?
That was literally
No,
me.
was it? No, it was jewelry. It wasn't stickers.
It was
It
earrings.
was earrings.
Okay.
Because our earrings blow off.
Yeah, I have the rubber band around it, and I was just like, oh, it's like anti-windproof. Like that's really cool.
Well, that's what someone did. I'm like, oh my god, that's genius. And it's just a rubber band. It's not this expensive idea. It's like just a rubber band across the hooks that they had, and their earrings aren't falling off. I'm like, why didn't we think about this like 2 years ago when we were hanging stuff up and everything? So, but like that's the kind of stuff like when you have that conversation, they're like, yeah, I just do this. I'm like, that's genius kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why didn't I think about that? But I want to make sure people can go find what you guys are doing, follow what you are creating and making, and see the journey as you guys start to get into actually the tattoo world and build that portfolio and like actually put ink on people's skin. And that's very cool.
Permanently.
But But
they want it.
they want it. They're paying for it. They're signing paperwork and saying, yes, we agree to this. But where can they find more information about what you guys are doing?
On our social media. That's right.
Which is?
Yeah.
I was like,
this is the time to plug yourself, guys.
That's where you give us your at.
Looks like I draw.
I make colors on the paper. My Instagram is at Brooke Elaine, and Elaine is spelt ELAYYNE.
Too wise to match the two
There's
O's.
a dot between the Brooke and the Elaine, so.
Awesome.
I love that. And I am on Instagram at studio_Zoob. And then from there, I have a couple different links to get you to like the spicy stuff or the like safe for work stuff. So you choose your poison.
And if you guys are in the SLC area and looking for tattoos, go check out the Hive.
Yes.
You guys will be there doing tattoos on people very soon.
Yes.
It sounds like you guys.
We
are
do have, I think we both have one. It is a sign up sheet. So we can kind of like start getting ideas and get like things going. So the process that we're going to be going through, just to kind of give you some education about like what it kind of looks like. So we will get the confirmation that you're going to get this design. We're going to practice that design a few different times on a practice skin just to make sure that we're very confident in it. And then when we're ready to tattoo you, we will then have our mentor there, Mason, and he will kind of walk us through it in person as well. And so we're just wanting to make sure we're really comfortable with what we're doing prior to, putting it onto your skin forever. But you want it. You want it. You want it.
Permanently.
But go ahead and check out the links on our Instagram. Is yours on your Instagram?
Yes, mine's also on my Instagram.
Cool. Just go to Instagram, and we both have our own sign-up sheet. So if you're interested in like, learning about the process, being a part of it, being involved, even just like learning, like I said, because you post a lot of like blogs and stuff like that. Go ahead and sign up, and we can kind of start looking at like getting a project and getting you in to get tattooed by us.
Awesome. And we'll make sure we put all their links in the description below so you can find their Instagrams, find the Hive, and check out what you guys are doing.
Yeah, you guys go look at that list, and maybe you guys might be like one of their first, and like that could be a historical piece because it's like,
and it'll be my best.
Yeah.
Remember, my best.
It'll all be my best. His first one will just be his best, but all of mine will be my best.
But thank you guys for coming down and trusting us to have a conversation about all this. Super fun. I'm super excited to see where this all goes for you guys and see that like growth and like all the talent that you guys already have, like make it into even more cool shit. And yeah, guys, go follow them, go check out what they're doing, support local artists. If you guys know other local artists in the area of Salt Lake or the greater Salt Lake area, like let them know we're here. We want to have conversations. We want to like see what cool shit you guys are making too. So like, comment, subscribe, and we will see you guys on the next episode.
Before we jump off though,
Whoa.
I need to flip the script on y'all.
Okay.
Like,
Wait.
I want to say thank you for having us here.
Yeah.
Like, this has been such a cool opportunity to be able to connect. I've met you like between markets, but I know every time there's like markets, you're kind of like miss that like opportunity to connect. So like, this is actually an opportunity to be able to connect with you all. And then I think you're building something bigger than just us. You know what I mean? And I think that's what's so cool about this. You're building that community that then I'm like, oh, who's gonna be next? And then I can follow them, and then I can like advertise them and like connect with them. And I think you're building this community that a lot of us I think are wanting, just we don't know how to do it. And so I just want to say thank you so much for having this podcast to allow us to have this space to like chat with each other and hear from each other. And I just think that's really fucking cool.
You're making
Thank
me
you.
Thank you. No, it means a lot.
Yeah,
It does.
Thank you guys.
Like, we just do it because we enjoy like hearing everybody's story that like as passionate. We have done this for 20 years of like just making what we want to make, and we've had like fortunate times to like be confident enough and sell our stuff and put ourselves out there. And again, I mean, you guys are talented as fuck, and like that's the cool part of like meeting other cool talented people. But yeah, we do appreciate it. Thank you so much. And so we'll see you guys on the next episode.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.